It's gonna work now. Are you guys with me? Let's see. I think I'm just gonna wait a second here and see. Thanks for hanging in. It's all right. I think it's live. Hello, hello. Um, I think I got the problem solved. Let's just see if you guys are out there. Thanks for rolling with me this morning. A couple of technology glitches, two of them, one back to back, and I don't know. Does technology feel weird when it's super hot? I don't get it. Um, anyway, oh, good. Yes. All right, Carolyn, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you stuck around. I'm so glad. Thank you. So it looks like everybody can hear me. People can see me. This is actually working out kind of good right here. Um, and I'm just going to see if I can get a little bit more light over here on, there we go. That seems a little better. All right, cool. So, um, good morning, everyone. I think that today is going to be a really great day. So, thanks for tuning in with me today. If you're new here, I have two things I want to talk to you guys about today. First of all, my name is Crispina French. I am a textile recycling artist. I've been doing this for a really long time. I love it. I love to see the impact that I can make in a global shift as well as personal um, kind of epiphanies that happen with my process. So it's kind of cool. I've been teaching my process in earnest since 2009. So that's been about 11 years. And over that time frame, I have published a teaching book. I'm actually working on my second book right now. Um, and I've just seen a lot of people really flourish using this process. So my process is I use discarded clothing mainly and other scrap textile material, fabrics, um, to make beautiful, new, wonderful things. And I love to teach people to do the same. And I think that when you dive into the process and you're able to really see that you can do it, everybody can, no matter who you are, no matter whether or not you've ever threaded a needle, it brings a level of kind of self-confidence and I don't know, it kind of like just gives you a little pep in your step, if you will. So I'm all about that, and I want to spread the word all about my textile recycling process by doing this 30-day series. So today we're going to talk about garment care. And like when I say that, I mean like laundering. What's the best way to take care of your clothing so they last a nice long while? And also thinking about things like mending and not so much, today we're not going to talk too much about like changing a garment as much as just like fixing a garment when it's worn out or has a tear or a stain or something like that. So the other thing I wanted to just share with you guys today is that I would love to spread the word about this little series to people who haven't joined me yet. And I would love to, I have this little kind of fun competition thing going on. It's not really a competition, it's more like just a little bit of inspiration for all of you lovely people who have been showing up. So if you tag someone here on Facebook who you think might enjoy joining us here on every morning at 11 a.m. for the next, I think, to 19 days, tag them in the comments. And everybody who tags someone in the comment, you also need to direct message me your mailing address because I am going to send you a beautiful little screen print in the mail. And if I was really well planned, I would have had one here to show you. I'm sorry, I don't, and I'm not going to run in the other room and get it, but let me just tell you, in addition to being a textile recycling artist, my sister and I run a screen printing business, and we make these little 6 by 9 inch prints, and we make new ones all the time so that they're frameable, they're signed and numbered, and they're kind of awesome, and they're all affirming, like uplifting, beautiful kind of ways to start your day. It's nice to put it somewhere that you'll see it first thing, maybe even before you get out of bed in the morning. So tag your friends and pop me your mailing address, and I will put one of those um, cool cards right in the mail for you. And if you're not interested in getting a card and you don't want to share your mailing address, I totally get it. Like, privacy is a thing almost of the past these days, but you can still tag your friends and just invite them along. Okay, so um, today we got a late start, and I don't want to keep you guys too long, so I'm going to make it kind of quick and talk about mending. So we had one, we had, actually, I'm sorry, I don't think we actually touched upon sock darning on this mini series, but one of the pieces of clothing that we go through most commonly in our household is socks. So I don't know what it is. Actually, there's two things I have to say about socks. Socks are very inexpensive, and they are kind of disposable. So there are socks that are not inexpensive that last much longer. There's a company that I've done some work with, and I do something that's called a scrap program, where I go into large volume, and let me just interrupt myself for a second. Sage, laurel, or maybe it's laurel sage. Yes, tag a friend in these comments. That's what I mean. Tag a friend, invite them along. They might not catch us live right now, but they'll come and see that there's something super fun and cool going on around here, and then we can just kind of widen the circle. There's never too many people recycling, right? That's just not possible. Okay, so back to the sock conversation. So I have these programs that I run with large volume textile waste generating companies, which are pretty much any garment manufacturing company generates a ton of waste. So I go into the company and I kind of ascertain their waste, what it looks like, how much they generate, in what time frame, and I work with their design team to come up with products they can produce using their scrap material, so that they can turn that stream of waste that's headed straight for the landfill into a stream of revenue that's headed straight for their bank account. So it's like a win-win. So I did some work with a company in Vermont called Darn Tough, and Darn Tough makes a really good quality product. They make socks, and their socks are actually guaranteed for life. So if you buy a pair of their socks and you get a hole in your sock, you can send it back to the company and they will replace it for free. So that is what I call standing behind a product, because if they make a really good quality product, and their socks are quite expensive. You can spend up to like $30 a pair, but when you're spending that much money, and you're not generating a ton of waste, because you've got a pair of socks that will literally last you a lifetime. Now, I have to say, my husband goes through socks like candy, and Darn Tough socks are the ones that don't get holes. So it is, it's not always possible to make that large investment in a single pair of socks, but if you have the opportunity to do that, I encourage you to. And look at other companies. I'm sure there's other sock manufacturing companies that also have similar types of guarantees, or they stand behind their product in a similar way. I know that Patagonia also does that with their clothing. So again, Patagonia products are quite expensive, and it's not always an option for everyone. But if you have the ability to swing an expensive Patagonia garment, and it's something that you're going to use for years, they're guaranteed for life, and they do stand behind their product. I've actually used their guarantee a couple of times and been really pleased with their replacement, and they either mend or replace. So that is awesome. So socks can also be darned, and I have a little sock darning tutorial that I'm working on. I have not posted that yet, but you can actually, if you want to get busy with sock darning before we get to that tutorial, before I'm able to post it on my YouTube channel, you can just Google it on YouTube. I'm sure there's tons of videos over there to fix socks. And it's very similar to a technique that I teach in my book, which I call a basket weave stitch, where you can actually like fill in holes using a stitch that kind of weaves, so you kind of create a warp and a weft. And I do have to apologize to you guys today because I really just I was kind of waylaid with the technology issues, and I didn't really have a chance to put together a bunch of samples to share with you today. But darning socks is a great way to start. It's nice, especially in this heat, when you're sitting with a small thing to work on rather than a big lap full of like a heavyweight, warm garment that you're working on. It's nice just to have something small that you can finish quickly. The other thing I just want to throw out there about socks, which doesn't really necessarily pertain to textile recycling, is that homeless people don't often have socks, and they're inexpensive. Like, you can buy a big, like, contain, you can take 6-pack of socks and bring them to your local homeless shelter, because they are really, it's one of those things that homeless people don't often have, and it's really something that just adds a layer of comfort. And we all know how it's nice to have, even if it's just a pair of socks, just like that will change somebody's day. So, so there you have my sock diatribe. So then the next thing I want to talk about are jeans. And again, my apologies. I just mended. My husband and he works outdoors. He's a tree guy. My husband is like the man of many professions. He does a lot of different kinds of work. He started out as a plumber, got his master license before he was 21 years old, and we both started our businesses the same year. And truth be told, full disclosure, my husband and I have known each other since we were little kids. So we go way back. And he also really does not like social media, so you won't find him on here. But anyway, so he goes through clothing like crazy. He's always like tearing his jeans. He works with chainsaws and big equipment. And he's got he's got work clothes that he washes by themselves, and then he's got his clothes that he doesn't wear to work that he washes with the rest of our family laundry. But tears are a common occurrence. So I go in and repair his jeans, and I patch. He's also very he likes to be not really noticed. So I don't put like the zebra print or pink flowered patches on his jeans. I do, but I put them on the inside of his jeans so that it looks just like jeans from the outside. So, when you're mending something, you want to take into consideration the wearer and what's going to be comfortable and how you're going to make it so that it's durable. So there's 3 things to consider. And I feel like jeans are one of the more common things that tend to get holes or stains or things that you want to cover. So that's what I do is I put a patch. I use Wonder Under, which is a fusible material that you can buy in my shop, and you can just cut. You iron a small, find the hole. Cut a square of fabric that's the right size to cover your hole, and then just iron a piece of Wonder Under on the back side of it. Peel off the paper, iron it down on the inside of the hole, so you're going to catch any of, like, sometimes with the jeans, you have like the fraying, the lines that kind of run across where it's worn through. That Wonder Under will hold all those like little pieces of fabric together. You iron it down, and then I zigzag stitch around the edge to hold it really securely, and then I straight stitch just back and forth all around that patch. And that will really kind of, it holds all those little loose threads that might be starting with the hole in place, and it really adds a lot of strength to the hole, so it'll last a long time. The other thing that we have discussed, well, not here, but in classes, is oftentimes people will have a beautiful blouse or a dress or some kind of top garment that they love, and wouldn't you know, at so-and-so's family reunion, they got red wine down the front or spaghetti sauce or something, and it's just not coming out, and they just love that garment. So one of the things I have done over the years is there's a couple of ways of handling it. Usually when that happens, it's not a symmetrical spill. Like, usually you don't spill something right in the middle, because that would just be way too easy to mend. If you do spill something really like right in the middle, you can make like a really pretty little decorative patch, something along those lines, or you can use like an iron-on kind of thing that you can find. These are available at. I'm going to put this in the comments. These are. Let's see if I can get the light to hang. So this is a vintage iron-on embroidery that my girlfriend Jill sells in her Etsy shop. Um, you could just like suppose the shirt I have underneath here. If this white shirt had a stain in the middle, this might look really cute, around the neck. You could maybe put my necklace around the neck. You could do even a couple of them and kind of cover something that was like an imperfection that way. Okay. Or if it's a heavier weight thing, sweatshirt, jacket, something like that, and you want to make up one of these little reverse patchwork patches that I did for a different demonstration I was doing, you could even put that in the middle, trim it down so it's a little smaller, and you could put that right where the imperfection stain or hole was. Now, in most cases, now the other thing is, you could put this off center, but it would look a little strange if you ask me. It's all about what you think, though. It doesn't really matter what I think. So generally speaking, when you have a spill or something like that happens to a nice blouse, you don't always have that symmetry. So you want to make sure that you're able to, make the blouse, dress, whatever it is, wearable when you're done, because you don't want it to be like, oh yeah, that's the dress I spilled something on, and then I put these crazy patches on it, and it looks really weird, and I'm never going to wear it. So what I do is I'll take like a little, suppose I'm just going to use this piece of fabric for an example because it's going to be easier to see. So I think it is anyway. This is like a neon green shirt. This is a t-shirt, okay? And or it's actually a t-shirt sleeve, and I'm wearing this t-shirt. So suppose I had a stain on my shirt and it was kind of like off center and it was just super weird. I would take that Wonder Under from my shop, and Carolyn, thank you for posting that up there. And I would open the sleeve right down the seam and make it flat, and I would iron the Wonder Under all over the back of this fabric. Then I would cut little squares, like 1-inch squares, and I would take a nice color, I would use a white t-shirt, or maybe like cream colored, or maybe pink, or some kind of soft color that wouldn't really stand out a lot on my white shirt. I would use a nice similarly colored embroidery floss. So like if I had a little baby pink colored t-shirt sleeve that I was using, the patches were going to be baby pink, maybe I'd use kind of a peach colored embroidery floss or something that would look really pretty with that, and I would take and maybe load them up right around the neck edge, and then suppose the stain was like right on my breast, I could put one here, and then I could put one over here to kind of balance it out, and just sprinkle them down the front so it would really look intentional. Okay, and I would even throw a couple on the back, because those sweaters that people have where like all the patterns on the front and the back is like solid. I don't understand those. I think it's so funny, like people, whoever designed those, think like people just only see you from the front, like hello, don't look at my back. Yeah, I always try to incorporate the back because I think it's really important to kind of keep that symmetrical. So those are a couple of ideas for mending things or being able to repurpose things that you might have thought weren't going to work for you in the future. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about laundering, because have you ever noticed like in your dryer like tons of lint? Did you ever think about where that lint came from? So lint is actually your clothing breaking down. So it's like fibers out of your clothing that all collects in that little net or screen so it's like you're kind of beating your clothing up when you throw it in the dryer. So, obviously we do need to clean our clothes. We want to make sure they're clean and presentable, but drying is actually something that really it shortens the life of any garment. And over time, obviously, the more lint that comes off, the less structure that's in your garment. So what I like to do is I use a drying rack in the wintertime, and actually that might change because we now have a big, long, beautiful clothesline that goes out our sliding glass door. Um, and I don't even know how long it is. I'm really bad at judging that, but it's probably at least it's probably 100 feet long. Maybe it's 50 feet long. I don't know. But anyways, it's really long. And lo and behold, even though it seems kind of crazy, you can dry your clothes on a clothesline in the winter. They do dry, even if you live in a very cold climate and it's freezing cold outside. If you hang your clothes out, they do dry. They freeze when they're wet, and then the air circulation dries them right out. So it's not really just a seasonal thing. But if you don't have access to a clothesline, you can use a drying rack in your home. And those, I think I talked about those last week on one of our sessions about a company called Lehman's. It's LEHMANS.com, and it's an Amish supply company, and so they have all sorts of cool, kind of old school, very useful things for living, and a lot of their offerings are really environmentally conscious. Before we got used to all these kind of disposable things in our lives, we used to take better care of stuff. So yeah, as far as laundering goes, there is a few different brands. There are a few different brands of environmentally friendly laundry soaps available. So you want to look for like biodegradable on the label. And there's a lot of, like the regular store brand soaps are getting less toxic to the environment over time. But I do have to say, things like Tide and any kind of fabric softener, Bounce, that kind of stuff, that stuff is really bad for you. It's bad for the environment, and it's also the fabric softeners that come in those sheets. I need to do a little bit more research and have actual tangible information to give you guys, but I do know that they are carcinogens, so you don't really need them, especially if you're not using a dryer. As far as like static stuff goes, if static energy, like static cling, drives you crazy in the wintertime, go for the natural fibers. They tend to have a lot less of that kind of, if you have long hair and you wear like a polar fleece kind of jacket or something in the wintertime, it just sticks. My daughter has long hair and she likes the polar fleece stuff, and it makes her hair really tangly. So good reason to go for a nice wool sweater instead. And then, okay, so machine wash your clothing. Try to find a biodegradable soap if you can. Try to avoid the dryer if you can. Even if you just one load a week, you hang it instead of throwing it in the dryer, you're making an impact. Okay, so that's regular laundry. And then when you get to a point where you want to wash and dry a wool garment and that you don't want it to shrink, I have a cool little PDF thing that I will post on my Facebook as soon as this video is concluded, and you can download it and just post it by your washing machine. It's a really nice way to hand wash and care for any kind of gentle cycle, cashmere, wool, even like linens and delicates that you have that are not wool or cashmere. You can hand wash them, and a lot of times the label will say dry clean only, but dry cleaning is also really not great for the environment. There's all sorts of very toxic chemicals used in that process, and it's actually not dry, it's actually a wet process, but the guy who invented it, his last name was Dry, D-R-Y-E. Anyhow, that's my diatribe for the day. Does anybody have any questions out there? One of the things that I would love to do is hear your feedback. I've heard from some people have sent me such nice emails telling me that this is like some kind of a really great highlight for their day. I really appreciate that. And I also just want to acknowledge that, we're all just going through a time that is unprecedented, and, there's all sorts of unforeseen and unknown things that are happening in our future. For me, the thing that's most on my mind right now are thinking about school and how that's going to work, because I just am not sure. I just can't imagine how um, we're going to be able to send our children to school safely. So um, I understand, and I know that there's a lot of kind of anxiety out there, and I just encourage anyone who's feeling anxious, tune in here. We're here every day. We're here to support and have a little fun and take your mind off of all the crazy stuff that's happening out there. So I really appreciate your time. I don't want to keep you any longer, but I hope you have a really great rest of your Thursday, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow, live at 11, right here, Eastern Standard Time, Facebook. And I don't think I can't really do Facebook and YouTube at the same time, because that's what happened this morning. I tried to do it, and it just, both live streams crashed because there's not enough bandwidth for me to do both at the same time. Anyhow, thanks again for being with me, and I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Have a great day.